Hi. Today I thought I could do a talk. So last night I did a talk at an open mic on joy and excitement. And when I got done with the open mic, I was like, there's a lot of more points I could hit on talking about joy and excitement than I hit last night. So we're gonna do second round. So starting with joy and excitement, one of the ways our unconsciousness or our darkness gets fed is it can have a tendency, or our ego structure can have a tendency to seek excitement in drama, in chaos, or even in things that are kind of exciting but end up leaving us feeling used, maybe taken advantage of, or we just feel hungover or awful the next day. And recognizing the ways I feed unconscious excitement is the way I avoid finding joy and excitement and peace. And so again, we're going to try the practice that I did at the open mic last night of just take a moment to feel a beautiful memory or a memory where we felt really full of joy and excited. And if no memory is coming to you, so we'll take a pause, find a memory of something that just brought you a lot of beauty, joy, and excitement. And if no memory is coming to your mind, just work to feel joy and excitement within the cells of your body. And we're just going to do this for a minute. And if your ego's going, boring, I don't want to do that, right? That's our ego that likes to find excitement most likely in ways that are subtly toxic, negative, or harmful for us. It isn't probably a voice we really should listen to. And so just start to settle in, find a memory, and let's take a moment to feel greater joy, excitement, beauty from our past, or just feeling those energies in our body a little bit more. As we slowly start to come out of it, you might realize that you feel a little different. And with our past, the gift of having any type of past experience is like our past experiences are almost like paint on a coloring wheel for an artist, and the artist gets to choose which paints it wants to emphasize or put more of on the canvas it's working on. And we can almost think of ourselves as like a painting that is beautiful, and also a painting that is ever changing, and it gets changed by the experiences we choose to focus on in our life, and also the past experiences we've gone through that we choose to re-feel in our body. Because when you re-feel something, it's almost like it essentially is to your cells like you're re-experiencing it. And the more you experience something, the more you are going to attract more of those experiences to you. And it's the power of joy and excitement. Is if we were raised in families that really prioritized us feeling our joy and excitement, or emphasized building our joy build it, like making sure that we were in line with the things that brought us passion, joy, and excitement every day or often, right? We would all, at this point, we would all be very different humans, most likely. And we would probably feel like there's a lot less wrong in our life, or there's a lot less that we have to change and fix ourselves. And we probably would be more in awe of the beauty of life, because that is what joy makes you feel. Reminds you of life is it's such a gift to be in a body, because we are literally spirits and souls that chose to come to earth to have the experience of what it was like to be alive, and to have senses, and to feel the grass on our feet, and to have relationships, and to feel relationships fall apart, and to only then find even better relationships. We signed up for all of that. And when we're constantly focusing on what's negative, what's wrong, constantly complaining about the shitty people we're finding in our life, one, when you're complaining, you are just harmonizing yourself to negativity and toxicity that's going to attract other people that are harmonizing themselves to those same frequencies. And when you are willing to say, the experience I'm having, not something I need to complain about. And I'm only complaining about things when I'm not taking action steps or not taking responsibility for the people that I'm choosing to spend time with, or not taking responsibility. Like you have a choice. The people who you hang out with, if they're not meeting you well, you can choose to not hang out with them. And the space you would clear, one, when we are clearing, when we're letting go of things that aren't serving us, it creates space. And space is literally the frequency of the divine feminine, that is love, that is care. And if we feel like we have a hard time loving ourselves or caring for ourselves, we might need to create a little bit more space in our life. Or we feel like we don't really know who we are or why we came here. If you can build on your greatest joy, excitement, passion, or find something you feel really passionate about, or take time to to go for a walk, to go jump in a lake, to do things that help your body feel relaxed, and where you or watching a sunset and it gives you a moment of, oh my gosh, life is so beautiful, you start to slowly remember, oh, I came here to enjoy being in a body. I came here to enjoy this life. And we get so caught up on trying to achieve things, so caught up on, I need to find a partner and that's going to help me find joy, that we forget that it really isn't about the external so much. It's actually more about what we're prioritizing and what we're choosing to focus on in our day, on what's going right rather than what's going wrong, and what we're choosing to re-feel. Because when we choose to feel joy and excitement anchored in peace, when we choose to notice how much is right in our day, how much we are held and supported by life, even if the only way we really feel held and supported by life in the moment we're in is just that we're continuing to breathe, that's at least life still giving you life. And when we can choose to do that, it's actually going to bring more order into our life, and we're going to be seeing life through a different lens. We're going to be seeing life through a lens of beauty rather than a lens of everything's wrong, because everything wrong is why we have a tendency to try and change and fix ourselves, because we think I'm unlovable as I am, and if I change and fix myself, that's what's going to make me lovable. And that is not true. That is an idea. Or the idea of, if I find the right relationship, I achieve the things my parents told me would make me successful, I get a nice car and home, that's what's going to make me happy. And again, those are ideas, right? Happiness isn't found in the external. It's found in how we choose to spend our time. It's found in seeing, taking time to feel greater joy and excitement. It's taking time to do things that help us feel more alive, or to care for our body and remind ourselves how good we are at life. And if we have a hard time caring for our body, it doesn't mean that we're wrong. It just means that we might need to try a little harder, or we might need to work on finding time to feel great, give ourselves love and care that will actually help us desire making different choices, because we only desire toxicity and negativity for how dysregulated our nervous system is, by how much time we're spending on focusing on everything that's wrong, focusing on why life is awful, focusing on our misery, and we're just harmonizing ourselves to greater and greater misery. And then we get around and complain about that with our friends. And it's just a never-ending cycle of this life is a curse. This life is something that I was punished to be here with. And there's nothing meaningful in my life, and there's nothing meaningful in your life because you're not taking time to love who you are and to enjoy the life you've been given, because this is a blessing. And in heaven, there is a line to get to be able to go on the ride that earth is, and to be able to like have all the beautiful experiences this life has to offer. And when we're only focusing on the negative and what's wrong, we forget that. And we won't remember why life is beautiful, or a gift, until we start focusing on what's right, start prioritizing our joy and excitement, rather than coming home from work and doom scrolling on our computer or our phone, or coming home and watching a bunch of Netflix, or using substances and numbing and checking out. And you only don't want to be here in your body when you are focused on what's wrong with your body, and when you're focused on what's wrong with your life. And that is a choice of perception. And, we were given families that taught us how to relate to that, who didn't really emphasize feeling joy and excitement or teaching us how to do that regularly. And so we are, and I almost like to think that we are like essentially like the generation that is here to clear up the mess of all past generations, so that the generation that we're going to give birth to after us doesn't have to deal with that shit anymore, and we can actually teach the next generation. There's such a gift to being alive. There's such a gift to being able to feel beauty in a body, and to have senses, and be able to experience feelings through our senses. Because when you're not in a body, right, you don't really have senses. You don't really get to feel how your body reacts by going through experiences. And that's why we came here. We didn't come here to suffer. We only suffer by how oriented we are to negativity, toxicity, and we are subtly feeding that in our life. And when we can reclaim our power and say, instead of coming home and just watching Netflix all night, I'm going to go do a yoga class. I'm going to cook myself a nice meal. Maybe I'll take a bath. Maybe I'll just take some time to journal, or even just pick up a pencil and draw something ridiculous or weird. Right? It is the joy of expression that reminds us of our joy. And I would even say, to how aligned we are in misery, or to how aligned we are in joy, is just how much we express our feelings. Because if we're not expressing our feelings, it's almost like putting a cap on a bottle. And it all gets bottled up, and it just creates more and more misery for how we bottle ourselves up, and how we hold on to the negativity and toxicity that maybe we've experienced from others. And when we're not willing to let it go by expressing it, is when we tend to be our most righteous, vindictive, spiteful, and awful versions of ourselves. And then we feel bad about acting that way afterwards, and go, why can't I learn how to act differently? And it's because you're not expressing your feelings. And so even if you're feeling like a really ugly, like a more ugly feeling, like maybe you're feeling super pissed at someone, or maybe you're thinking, I can't believe they did this, like F them, I hate them, right? Put it in a journal. Do an anger journal. Journal about wish the worst things you possibly could on that person. And then say at the end, may all these words I say be returned back to the light as blessings for all. And may these words only serve my greatest healing and the person who bothered me's greatest healing as well. And when you do that, you're literally pulling your anger, your righteousness, your spitefulness out of you. And when there's more space, there is more space in your emotional body to feel greater joy and excitement and love. And when we can express things, we are literally expressing the blockages in our body that helps us have greater access to emptiness. And emptiness is a frequency of love. It's a frequency of joy. And it's why when people talk about being in love or being happy, they can say it kind of feels like your greatest excitement and vulnerability. And it also just kind of feels like nothing, because not in nothingness is peace. In spaciousness is the divine feminine. And I would even and say talking about the world is like before coming into this planet as spirits, we looked at Earth and said, wow, it's kind of a shit show right now. And then we had the thought, what? Well, we're really good at enjoying life and feeling our feelings. Why don't we go down there and help them remember the gifts of being in a life, in a body? And then maybe someone walking by, hearing our thoughts, said, well, you're going to forget everything you know about feeling your feelings and being excited, enjoyed about life and enjoying life. And maybe then we thought, well, we'll probably remember. And then we get down here and depending on who raised us and our past experiences kind of determines how good we are at feeling certain feelings, or how good we are at prioritizing things that we're passionate about, or how addicted to things we are versus how good we are at caring for our body and being in sobriety. But now we're here and we're listening to someone talk about the gift of joy and excitement. We're listening to someone helping us remember that if we can express our feelings, we're going to feel more joy and we're going to feel greater spaciousness in our body, which is where any higher feeling of love, excitement, and joy erupts from. And another thing to look at with this talk is with what ways do we say, I'm only going to feel excited or I'm only going to feel happy when I experience this, right? Is it a romantic relationship? Is it having more friends or better friends? Is it when I create the career I'm trying to create, or when I find what my greatest purpose is? And if you are wondering what your greatest purpose is, it's to enjoy life and to build a life around that joy. It's to, oh my God, I love playing my guitar, or oh my God, I love, maybe it's cooking amazing meals for myself, or oh my God, I love, I love building community, or I really love caring for young children, or I really love helping people learn new, like be a tutor and learn new things. And whatever we find that we're passionate about, that we enjoy, or maybe it's I really love animals, it's okay, how can I find more time to do this in my life? And right, if we really want to go for it, then it would be okay, how can I create a career around what I love doing, rather than sitting in a career that pays the bills but doesn't really always feel like it lights me up and excites me. And that doesn't mean I leave the boring or the career that creates a little misery in my life tomorrow, but I become curious of how could I live a life of greater joy, excitement, and passion? And how can I take power back from the ideas of I'm not going to be happy till I have the right job. I'm not going to be happy till I have the right partner. I'm not going to be happy till I have a certain amount of money, a car, more friends, better friends. Those are all ideas, and those ideas actually aren't true. You're going to be happy by who you become, and you become a better version by prioritizing your joy and excitement and loving and valuing yourself more than anyone. It sounds a little narcissistic, but more than anyone else, because people might be able to hear you on a deeper level. Sometimes people may be able to remind you of why you deserve love on a deeper love deeper than you think at certain times, but that doesn't actually mean that they're better at loving you, right? Because no one's walked even a day in your shoes, and the only one who's gonna, like, on the deepest level, if we really commit to it, the person who's gonna be able to love and understand ourselves the deepest is you. And how we avoid doing that is why we think someone else is going to be able to do it better than us. And if we can take our power back from that and say, oh, it's on me. It's on me to heal my path. It's on me to find greater joy and excitement in my life. And it's on me to take responsibility for the relationships I've had in the past, the relationships I currently have. And if they're not working for me, or they feel like I have to settle and compromise a part of myself, or settle and compromise something I value to get along with this person, or to make these friendships work, or make this romantic relationship work, right? That is something that isn't really serving you, because is it serving you bringing more of yourself forward, or is it serving you hiding parts of yourself, thinking that if I don't hide, then I'm going to have nothing because these people will leave. But when we're given nothing, the nothingness is actually returning us to loving and valuing ourselves and valuing our time and attention over giving power away to certain people or relationships, saying, I can't lose this person. And when we feel like we can't lose someone, that is codependency. When we think, oh my God, my life is going to be awful without them, it's ignoring how amazing and valuable and lovable we are just as we are. And so in order to enjoy your life, you have to value your time, and you have to learn how to love yourself. And it's the joy and the excitement we find in our life in caring for our body and going through beautiful experiences, whether just feeling memories from the past or with others, that then helps us see and change our perspective of, oh, things are right. Oh, the universe is literally bringing people to me that I'm the most like. And when I can become someone who embodies greater joy and excitement, and I express that more easily, and I express my feelings healthy in a healthy way, I'm going to attract healthy relationships to me. I'm going to attract people that even bring greater joy and excitement to me. And my life will change. And when my life changes, I change. When I work on feeling different feelings, or even just saying, this is right, what I'm experiencing is right. And the caveat is, if I'm in an abusive relationship, right, that's not the universe telling me to say this is right. That's the universe saying it's time to sharpen your discernment and to take your power back away from that relationship by leaving them and prioritizing love over toxicity, right? Prioritize loving yourself over the toxicity of a relationship that makes you feel like you have something, but is really just helping you avoid how you feel like you have nothing. And we only feel like we have nothing when we haven't learned how to value who we are. And if we want to feel better about ourselves, it's learning to become the best version of ourselves by prioritizing our joy, excitement, and passion, right? That then helps us be the most joyous person in the room, and that feels rather good. Being calm, mature, taking responsibility for our life and the relationships we have feels rather good, and we start to become proud of who we are and not ashamed of who we are. We start to become proud of how we care for our body and not shamed of how we still feed toxicity in our life. And even with joy and excitement, what you learn is that when I can value when I can value the life I've been given, and I can focus on what's right in my life, I'm going to start to see life through a lens of greater beauty. I'm going to find my way, and I'm going to even start to create the life that always seemed like it was just a dream or always felt like it was too far away. And I almost, and just to like one of the things, like maybe to close it out, or one of the last things to close it out is like if we can like sit around and complain about all the structures on this planet that aren't working, like corporate structure and our economy, and how so many people are in poverty or don't have their basic needs met. But you can almost think of you following your greatest passion in your life as like creating a flame in your energy field. And the more people choose to follow their greatest passion rather than toughing it out in misery of a job that pays the bills but doesn't really feel aligned with their purpose. And your passion is your greatest purpose. We come here to explore and to amplify passion. We don't come here to trudge through miserable corporate jobs that pay the bills, but then we feel like our life has no meaning. And so when we can prioritize pursuing our passions and even moving towards building a career of our greatest passion slowly over time, you are going to, when enough people do that, it's almost like creating a flame in cities, in like in across the planet, that will literally collapse the economic system. It will collapse the structures that no longer are serving people's passions. And the way we do that is by prioritizing our greatest joy and excitement. And the flame that we become by following our passion is the flame of life. And it's why we're in even people talk about the like the holy grail and finding a fountain of youth. You want to feel more alive, build a life of your greatest passion. And that doesn't mean I focus on my passion and ignore taking responsibility in my life, or ignore trying to change certain things in my life that I need to change that would actually help me feel have more freedom in my life or feel more comfortable in my experience. And that also doesn't mean that I only take responsibility and never focus on my passion. But when more people can start to say, I'm going to live a life of my passion, and even like waking up, like people waking up in corporate structures like big tobacco companies and stuff, and waking up and saying, you know, me selling cigarettes, me working to help sell cigarettes isn't really aligned with what I value, which for anyone, really what they should value is bringing greater life to their body and helping others learn and bringing greater love to their relationships. And when people say, you know, the corporate structure I've been working in isn't aligned with what I value, unless people are agreeing to work for those jobs and instead are willing to follow those passions, is when those corporate structures will start to fall away, and where the economic system will have no other choice but to support people's greatest passion. And so but that starts with some people starting to lead the way. And the more people align themselves with joy and excitement, the other people will start to see that and go, oh, I'm living out of alignment. I'm not living into why I actually came here, which was to enjoy life and to fall and to build and amplify the passion I have as a spirit, as a soul. And so when you can do that, you're actually helping accelerate awakening. You're actually helping people find greater greater freedom in their life just by being an example. And that doesn't, I've talked about this in another video, but that doesn't mean that like casual hookups oftentimes are you giving giving energy and time and attention to a relationship that isn't meant to last. And when we're thinking about romantic relationships, the way to actually amplify passion in our body is to be picky and discerning and saying, I'm not going to give my time and attention in a romantic way to someone who I know wouldn't work long term. Because if it isn't going to work long term, it's just going to lead to one of us or both of us ending up hurt at the end of the relationship, or one person feeling a little bit used, or one person feeling it taken advantage of, or some grief coming up, or even the thought of I shouldn't have let that person get so close to me so quick. And so when we orient towards passion, we're also orienting towards my time and attention has value. I have value, and I'm not going to agree to experiences that aren't going to be honoring my time and attention, aren't going to be honoring what I value. And even like I have a wise friend who was telling me a story about how he was in Hawaii a long time ago, and the and he was talking about how he was like looking out over the water. It's beautifully sunny, and he felt miserable. And what you learn about settings that we're in is the setting actually doesn't dictate so much what I feel. It's what am I choosing day in and day out, and how much am I prioritizing the things that light me up, that excite me in my life, that actually dictates more often, or who am I choosing to spend time with? Do they make me feel more hopeful and alive, or do they actually feel like they suck life from me? It's like when we prioritize what we value, when we prioritize our joy and excitement, is actually what changes how you feel in the scenes. And it doesn't matter whether we're feeling like we're getting buried by a pound of dirt so much, or we're in a field full of flowers with beautiful rainbows overhead. Whatever stage in our life we're in, you can still find joy and excitement even in little moments. And sure, some experiences are going to make it harder to kind of feel that way, but even if you just took a minute or two to feel a beautiful memory you had in your past, right? You would feel a little bit more hopeful, you would feel a little bit more alive, and you would be orienting your mind for a minute or two to notice what is right in the moment, and not notice so much about what is wrong, what is negative, what are things we can't change. And oftentimes the life we are living in this moment is based off the choices we've made in the past. And when we start to choose differently than how we chose in the past, is when we start to create a new path for us that is more fulfilling, more awesome. And it might be a slow journey, and it might take a lot of time, but you are worth the journey. And when you can take responsibility of this life I'm experiencing is the life I created, and if I wish to experience something else, I have to learn how to create from a place of valuing me, valuing my time and attention, and prioritizing my joy and excitement that is going to lead me down a path that will only amplify those feelings. And so I hope that helps. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.